There's an old American saying. There's an old American saying that goes, a flirtatious man grows old slowly, because every time he sees a beautiful woman, his heart beats faster, keeping his arteries open and his soul alive. Ethan remembered those words as he sat across from Sophie that evening, the golden glow of the restaurant lights shimmering across her hair like liquid honey. It was a quiet place in downtown Chicago, the kind of place where conversations hum softly under the dim light, and every table feels like a little world of its own. They had met only a few weeks ago, introduced by mutual friends at a charity gala. Yet somehow, since that night, Ethan had felt as if he'd known Sophie forever. There was something about her, the way she spoke with calm confidence, the way her laughter seemed to fill the space around her, that made him feel alive in a way he hadn't felt in years. Dinner had just been served, roasted salmon, sautéed vegetables, and a bottle of white wine between them. Ethan tried to focus on his food, but his eyes betrayed him. Every few seconds, he found himself glancing at Sophie, and each time, she caught him looking. At first, she smiled shyly. Then her gaze started to linger, her lips curling into a teasing smirk that said more than words ever could. Their eyes began to do the talking. Sophie lifted her fork slowly, breaking a piece of salmon, and Ethan followed her every move as though hypnotized. The faint scent of her perfume, vanilla and jasmine, drifted across the table. It wasn't just a scent, it was a memory in motion, something he wanted to breathe forever. "You're quiet tonight," she said softly, her voice a low melody. Ethan smiled. "Maybe I'm just afraid that if I speak, the moment will break." Sophie tilted her head, her eyes sparkling. "Or maybe you just don't know what to say." He leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. "Maybe I don't have to." The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full of 1,000 unsaid things, curiosity, warmth, and that rare kind of electricity that only two people truly drawn to each other can feel. The waiter came and poured more wine, breaking their spell for a brief moment. Ethan thanked him and looked back at Sophie. "Do you believe in that old saying?" he asked. She raised a brow. "Which one? That a man who flirts with beauty never grows old?" Sophie chuckled softly. "You mean, a man like you?" Ethan grinned. "Guilty as charged, but only when the beauty is sitting right in front of me." Sophie shook her head, laughing. "You're impossible. And yet," Ethan said quietly, "you're still here." For a long moment, she looked at him, really looked at him. Behind his easy charm, she saw a man who wasn't just flirting for fun. There was something genuine in his eyes, something searching. He wasn't chasing beauty, he was remembering what it felt like to be alive. The dinner continued, but neither of them tasted much of it. Their words grew softer, their laughter deeper. Every glance was longer than the last, every pause heavier with meaning. When dessert arrived, a single slice of chocolate cake with 2 forks, Sophie pushed it toward him. "Share?" she asked. Ethan smiled. "Always." They ate from the same plate, their hands brushing once, twice, and then staying just a little too close. Sophie didn't pull away this time. Outside, the city lights shimmered against the glass windows. People walked by, cars honked, but inside that little restaurant, time had slowed. "Tell me something," Sophie said, playing with her fork. "Do you always look at women like that?" "Like what?" "Like you're reading their thoughts." Ethan smiled. "Only when I wish I could." "And what am I thinking right now?" she asked, leaning closer. He met her gaze steadily. "You're wondering if this," he motioned between them, "is real or just another beautiful moment that fades when the night ends." Sophie didn't answer right away. She looked down, then back up at him, her voice barely above a whisper. "And is it?" Ethan reached across the table, his fingers brushing hers. "That depends on whether you'll let me find out." Her breath caught for a second, then she nodded. "Maybe I will." After dinner, they stepped outside into the cool night air. The wind carried the scent of rain and city smoke. Sophie wrapped her shawl tighter around her shoulders, and Ethan instinctively reached out, adjusting it gently. "Old habits," he said with a small laugh. "My mother taught me never to let a lady get cold." "Your mother raised a gentleman," Sophie replied. "Or a man who doesn't want the night to end," he said. She looked up at him, her eyes reflecting the streetlights. "Then don't let it." They began walking, slowly, side by side, down Michigan Avenue. The street was alive with music from a nearby cafe, laughter from passing strangers, and the faint hum of traffic. But for them, the world had shrunk to a heartbeat, the rhythm of footsteps, and the electric pull between two souls meeting halfway. They stopped by a small park, where the leaves rustled softly under the lamplight. Sophie sat on a bench, and Ethan joined her. Neither spoke for a while. Finally, Sophie broke the silence. You know what's strange? What? I wasn't even supposed to come to that gala where we met. My friend cancelled last minute, and I almost stayed home. Ethan smiled. And I went because my boss insisted. I told him I hated those events. Guess fate was tired of listening to us complain. Sophie laughed, the kind of laugh that starts in the heart and makes the night feel warmer. Fate has good timing sometimes. Ethan looked at her quietly. Maybe fate just needed two stubborn people to sit at the same table. The wind picked up slightly, blowing a few strands of her hair across her face. Ethan reached out and tucked them behind her ear, his touch light but deliberate. She didn't move away. Ethan, she began softly. Yes. Do you really think a man like you grows old slowly? He smiled, eyes glinting with that same charm. If growing old means losing moments like this, then yes, I'll fight it every day. Sophie held his gaze for a long moment, then whispered, then maybe I'll help you stay young. Ethan laughed quietly. Careful, I might take that seriously. I hope you do, she said, smiling. And in that moment, with the city lights behind them, and the night stretching endlessly ahead, it no longer mattered who they had been before or what tomorrow might bring. There was only this, two people, sharing the same air, the same warmth, the same heartbeat of possibility. As the clock struck midnight, Ethan looked up at the stars faintly visible beyond the city's glow. You know, he said softly, that old American